Hi, everybody. It's Randy Hilarski here. Today I have a special guest. I have Calvin Tran, the director of Rizqi Presents Blockchain, available now on Amazon. So tell us, how did you get into crypto, Calvin, and why did you do this show?
So my first step into Bitcoin was 2013. I've actually been in it for quite a long time. Back then, I was coming out of the Ron Paul campaign and all that kind of political stuff, and I'd been fascinated by Bitcoin, this decentralized, anti-central banking currency of the world. It was incredible. So a friend of mine sent me like a tenth of a Bitcoin, which was just worth like $10 back then. And then over the summer, I won a video contest with Fee and the Foundation for Economic Education, and they sent me. I asked if they could send me some of the prize money in Bitcoin because I knew that they were a Bitcoin-friendly organization, and so I did. They got me one whole Bitcoin that was worth like $250 at the time, and so I was living life large all the way through, November and then December and January. It's up to 1,000, and then it crashed, and I had to live with my tail between my legs for a little bit there.
But did you
But
hodl? Did you
I
hodl?
I did. I was holding still. But then in May, I decided, I'd like to join the crypto journalist space. So I actually joined the team at Crypto Coins News, one of those early publications. I believe they've renamed themselves just CCN now.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was a good introductory experience to work with that team. It was very early crypto type, where like everything's just like being held together by spit and prayer, and we're just writing as many articles as we can. But it was also a very exciting time. If you remember the whole Mt. Gox thing, Silk Road, the trial, it was something that I actually covered when I came to New York that fall, and then I was just in that space for such a while. I did a video series back then called People in Bitcoin, and that was kind of like a predecessor to the show where I was just profiling people that I could get in contact with about their experience working in this space or just having, some kind of interaction with it. And I had to step back from that when I was about a sophomore in college, just because, it was college, so I had to step back. And then I was getting back into it in senior year, just last March and fall, all that kind of stuff. And it was a really exciting time because suddenly this whole industry had transformed by then. I mean, I had seen the original Ethereum launch, but I hadn't seen all the new projects that had come out after that. So jumping back into it and basically reteaching myself all these basic concepts was huge. And so while I was doing that, I decided for my senior thesis documentary, I would make a documentary about the blockchain industry and try to be as broad and basic as possible so that people could actually understand it. And at the time, I was also working at Vice, so I had a really, I was just seeping in this aesthetic quality to it that I
And
wanted
how
to
did
do.
that happen? I mean, you're coming from a libertarian mindset, and you're on. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of Vice. All right, I like it, especially when they first started because they were so in your face. So
Yeah.
how did that happen? How did that connection happen? Quick.
Oh, going to Vice? Well, I mean, I went to NYU, so
Okay.
as much as I'm a libertarian, I've probably stepped into one of the most leftist-leaning organizations in my life. Going to NYU Film School and working at Vice at the same time. Interesting time to be.
But you didn't get corrupted, and that's an amazing thing.
I would say I picked up what I liked, and I didn't pick up what I didn't like,
Right.
and I learned quite a lot from all the things. I don't like to shit on them, but it's only simply that the political leanings are different than mine.
Right.
But
So,
but
so,
I
so okay, you did that. I
uh,
mean, you're an interesting guy. I don't know how you did it. I had to get out of New York State. Okay, I grew up there. I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I moved down here to Panama. Like look, Voorhees was down here. Ira
mhm.
Miller, all these guys are down here in Panama. That's my crew. That's the people I hung out with. I got to know. So so when you were with CCN, how did that explode into you going to this level of making your own documentary on blockchain or crypto?
So upon graduating film school, or for the whole year while you're thinking about like, oh, what am I going to do in my exit strategy? One of the big things that I'm thinking most people who go to film school are thinking about, like, oh, who are you as like an artist, and what does that really mean? because you see like the people who are really interested in, fashion or music videos or feature films, like they are all headed towards the career. I didn't really know what I was headed into, but I did think about it from like more of like a startup mindset of like, well, what am I positioned to do right now? Where can I pivot towards? What is unique about me that I can be like valuable to the storytelling community myself? And the blockchain thing, the libertarian kind of thing, those ethoses, they are unique to me clearly compared to a lot of the other people I was surrounded by. So I decided I would dig into that more, dig into the philosophies that I truly believed in, my convictions, and then this community that a lot of filmmakers have skipped over, I believe. And I think this is a big time for the blockchain community to move forward.
Oh,
And one of the big things that is I feel about the blockchain community in terms of their media is that it's been 10 years since we had, the founding of Bitcoin in January 2009, and we haven't really had a lot of great media coverage or even productions. Like I remember when I was a reporter that I had to cover some of the movies that were being made, and there's the Rise and Rise of Bitcoin, Ulterior States, Life on Bitcoin, all these other documentaries. I think the best piece for Bitcoin, honestly, was the film Dope. And that wasn't even a documentary. That was a narrative film featuring Sid the Kid from, Odd Future. And it was just a story about kids who were trying to escape crime and all these kind of things. It was an incredible film. Loved it to bits, and they just referenced Bitcoin because these kids were having to push drugs. They had to make money, and so they went to the stoner kid who was selling drugs, and they're like, all right, let's make a deal here, and so they sold it with Bitcoin. That was probably the better pieces than all the other documentaries, because the documentaries were focused too much on like the crime, as much as it's an exciting story and maybe a time for those times. It's a story that we definitely need to move on from.
Yeah.
So this documentary that I made is about, running us through the learning curve as fast as possible.
I'm going to keep fighting for Ross,
Absolutely. Oh,
Silk
absolutely.
Road. I mean, how do you go to prison for just owning a website? So
Right.
I'm good friends with his mother and his family, and I always will support them and keep moving forward with that. But you are right. The criminal side of it has had too much attention.
Mm-hmm.
The Bitcoin being used for transactions. Look, I live in Panama. This is money laundering central, and they do not do it with Bitcoin. They're still doing it with US dollars, and people need to realize that Bitcoin is just like a little tiny sliver compared to the whole money laundering market.
And that's something that in our 6th episode, Krista Rose says, where there is digital gold, there are digital pirates. Where there's people trying to transfer value, some of that will be used for nefarious uses for sure.
You can't
that's
stop
just
it. It's part of life, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So tell me, how did you meet Rizqi? I mean, he's a
Yeah. So I spent a summer in DC working at the Mercatus Center, and Rizqi was working there as a data visualizer. And Rizqi's got this incredible background. He's not only like a hip hop dance artist, he's someone who's worked with a lot of great talent, some of the big names like Steve Torreta and all that. But he's also someone who graduated economics from George Mason University.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then he works at Mercatus, which is a GMU institution, and he's met Nobel laureates like Elinor Ostrom, and he and we worked with like Tyler Cowen and some of these great minds like Brian Kaplan, all these guys. And so he has this background in economics as well as in art and culture and society, and I just knew that he was the perfect host for the show, someone who could handle both sides of the mind and just someone with a lot of cool flavor to him, right? So
yeah, he doesn't. I like how he doesn't put his opinion in there too much. Like me, I throw my opinion in. That's how I am. That's how I made my name in crypto. Everyone knows my opinion. Well, he keeps it out of it, and he lets people that he's interviewing share theirs or talk about what they believe. And I think that's a powerful way to run a show.
Well, the show is about like a cultural exchange. One thing that we focused on is that each episode is really focusing on questions which entrepreneurs are answering. There isn't like a central political figure in the show that's like telling you how everything's going. It really is up to the people that we interview. Like, how is internet going to become decentralized? Well, in episode 2, we have people who are answering that, but it'll be up to them or other people who are doing the same thing. It's not up to any central authority. So that's really how we approach it. We approach it with this open-minded ethos and really try to create the dialogue for solutions.
All right. So right now it's available on Amazon Prime
And Vimeo.
and Vimeo. So what are the costs of watching the whole series? Just so people know ahead of time.
So if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can just stream it live. You can just stream the whole episode, the whole 6-episode season for free. You could also buy it for, I believe, $1 per episode or rent it. But on Vimeo, because because Amazon only distributes to the US and the UK, we had to figure out how to distribute abroad.
Yeah.
So it's on Vimeo on demand now. You can you can rent the whole season for $5, or you could buy the season for $8.
Okay, because I didn't know that, because I live in Panama, and many crypto users are not based in the US or Canada.
Exactly. So that's why we wanted to. Well, we were struggling to find an international distributor for a while, and before the energy leaves and before we stop talking about the show, I was like, well, let's just put it on Vimeo and try to make sure that people can still find it accessible. Unfortunately, we don't have a streaming service to go on, but it is available for rent and to buy. And I think it's a great bargain, honestly, because I think I'm vindicated by Amazon. We have 22 reviews, all of them 5 out of 5. I mean, the community has responded so far, and it's been incredible. I really love the support we're getting.
I'll be sharing it all over for you. Obviously, I'm big on Steemit, so I'm going to take this content and put it on Steemit. I think I just told you about Uptrend earlier. Uptrend's a new social media website where it's really focused on crypto. And Tribe One, which is an EOS-based social media website that focuses on crypto. So then you're looking at maybe another 150,000 views, or people that are in crypto who will possibly watch the video. So I'll do my best. And then obviously Crypto Daily UK, who will be publishing this content. You're talking about millions of possible viewers, and
it's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's I love Crypto Daily. So whatever content that you have for me to publish, you let me know, and I'll have the team publish it for you.
Yeah.
We want more people using crypto and more educational things coming out. The more that we have, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And our show is perfectly positioned for that. It is an introductory series. And fortunately, the first episode is free to watch. It's on YouTube under CoinSpice right now. We have over 2,200 views on that right now. I mean, we've had a lot of great interaction already. And one thing that I want to make sure everyone knows is that this is as an introductory series, and being one that I think is honestly one that's doing its job as a good introduction. We'd like this to be shared to people who are curious about the industry. So, I mean, I'm sure your followers are already experts on it, or are very knowledgeable on the subject. For them, maybe the show isn't exactly for them to learn a lot, but it is something that we hope to recontextualize the industry so that we can create new terms that may be a bit more accurate. Like, we break down why it's called mining in the first place, and that's because of the whole, digital gold issue. Yes. But it might not be the best way of describing it. So we break that down. But then additionally, this is something that I hope that you share to your tech curious family and friends and relatives. And if the bear market don't come back before November or something, maybe you could share it to your relatives around Thanksgiving or Christmas time. We want to make sure that this is something that people share. That's
fine. So do I have permission to share the first video on YouTube also in the article so people can find it?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I'll include both videos so people.
We want everyone to see episode 1 at least, because that one, that's one of the episodes I'm most proud of, because we were some of the only people in the world to step into one of those giant mining facilities in the episode. We go up to Missoula, Montana, and just step into one of these. It used to be an old logging mill, so it's this old giant facility that they're now transforming into more mining computers, and it's.
And I like how they try to be environmentally friendly by scaling down the noise. That was very cool.
Yeah. One of the central issues that these mining facilities are facing is that the community is, somewhat backlashing them. If they might not understand the technology entirely, so they're, something that Jason, the manager of the site, was telling me was that, because they hear the word mining, they're like, oh, are they dumping chemicals in the water and stuff like that? Like, they don't fully understand what's going on there.
It's okay.
And then of course, that's the learning curve. And then additionally, there is the noise problem, because they have these giant fans trying to blow out and move volumes of air that was getting warmed up by the computers. And for them, the issue was that the fan blades that they originally had were causing a specific frequency of noise that is just annoying to the human ear. Yes. And so they had to actually create a custom fan blade to reduce that wavelength. So like, those are the challenges that people face. And that's an incredible challenge that we haven't talked about. Like these are
Right.
the things that people have to do. And then on top of that, if you go to a community that doesn't have the electrical infrastructure for a mining facility, then you have to talk to the local utilities and say, all right, let's invest into this. Let's build something. Let's make sure that this can work before, transformers blow up and suddenly have fires on your hand.
We don't want that to happen because then they'll outlaw it, right?
Right. Well,
So,
that kind of stuff's happening where like in like the bad parts of Russia or China where like, they don't have the kind of good commercial culture that will be doing their due diligence. Those are the kinds of issues that we face. And that's something that we got to talk about.
it's coming, man. I think I thought 2019 was going to be the year of the regulators. And so far, it looks like it hasn't been. It might even be pushed back to 2020.
Well, I think the regulators fortunately, we have someone like Hester Pierce. We have good regulators. I mean, Rizqi actually knows Hester personally because she was at Mercatus for a little bit. And so, like, we have, I believe, good regulators right now who are approaching the subject with what I call the engineer's mindset or the product design mindset, where if you design products for IKEA, you're not trying to make sure that everyone can't do anything with your product except for what it's designed to do. What you're trying to do is you're making it easier for them to have a good share or something, And so with the regulators, I believe they should have the similar mindset where you're creating a design framework for people to do as much as they can, but just in clear terms. So that way you don't have fraud or you don't have bad actors necessarily, but that you open up ground for a real playground of ideas.
That's what we're doing down here in Panama. We're actually having roundtables where
Yeah.
we're trying to bring in the regulators to let them know what crypto is and how it can benefit the economy, and not do like New York did with the bit license that Bittrex just had to shut their doors in New York. My mom, we had to go on and take her Bitcoin off of Bittrex right away because she had 6 hours or else she loses it. I'm like, well, this is crazy.
It's incredible. That's insane, right? And there's only like 13 people have actually gotten this license. So it's like it seems to have been useless if over 5 years we haven't really got anything.
Yeah, I like Eric Voorhees does a really good talk about what he feels, his opinion on the bit license. I think that was in Rise Bitcoin or something. He was not very happy.
Yeah. I don't think anyone was. You only get that if you really want some kind of sense of legitimacy given down to you by the government.
Let the Winklevoss twins handle that. Gosh, those traitors. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Calvin. This is what a great talk. I want everyone to check out his show, Rizqi Presents Blockchain, and Amazon Prime, Vimeo. Check it out. Connect with the guys. What other social media channels do you guys have?
So we're on Twitter. Well, you can follow me on Twitter. It's Calvin the Bold without any vowels or spaces. So it's something I got from Calvin and Hobbes back when I was a sixth grader. I've just kept it ever since because there's a fashion designer named Calvin Tran and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to get into that. You can follow me there. You can follow our company Node House, also on other social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Let's spell HAUS the German way.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Node, Node, which you guys are all familiar with, and then Haus, Haus, kind of in reference to the Bauhaus art movement.
Okay.
A few things I want to ask the audience before we head out is, one, watch the show and give us a rating. We want to hear more feedback from the community. One thing that I've noticed is that after we hit about 20 reviews on Amazon, we started getting this little button on the website that says other things that other people who watch the show liked. So I think we entered a different tranche in their algorithm, and we just want to keep up the energy and keep getting spread. Secondly, please share it with people that you believe are interested in this technology. One angle that we do want to expand on is getting this to lawmakers and regulators, people who are going to have a general political interest in this field, but maybe don't know too much about it. So if they were to see our show, get a good understanding of what's going on in the blockchain industry, not just cryptocurrency, then that would be huge for all of us long run. And then additionally, getting it shared to people is just going to help us out, attain mass adoption, hopefully.
Absolutely. Mass adoption and mass views.
Exactly. But it all goes to that general cause for all of us. And, if we truly believe in this industry, I truly believe in the industry, that's why I made the documentary. Share the documentary, get it out there.
The next documentary needs to be about, we won't say the bad word, but we'll say budget coins. Do a documentary about those, Yeah.
Season
It's
2
so
right
much
there.
fun. Get to interview some of the teams because they're a blast. You know, some of these guys who are just cowboys are out there building these new blockchains and
It's
building these
exciting. It's
projects.
exciting.
You know, I
Yeah.
think you're gonna have plenty of content for years to come.
Yeah. Yes.
All
All right. Thank you so much for having
right,
me.
thank you, Calvin. Ciao.